It's a new year, and as it goes, it's time to make new resolutions, new goals. But then I started asking, how can you formulate a reasonable cycling goal and how do you pursue it? So let's talk about that. I also need to address that I'm an aggressively mediocre cyclist. But on the other hand, over the years I set a great number of goals that I pursued for months and months, and most of the time I achieved them. So I want to share my process so that in the hope that some of you might be inspired by it and get a better year out of it. Let's go! So first of all, you have to figure it out what is important for you and why. And the why is as important as the what. That's your motivation. What you have to remember every time that things get hard. When I think of that, I can divide two categories of why ones want to do something. You do it either for something that you will feel or for something that others will feel. And it's important that you're very honest about it with yourself. There is no wrong answer. It's good for you to know that you're trying to do something because it will look good on Strava versus you're trying to do something because you will love doing it. So identifying if your motivation is internal or external is really important. I perform much better if my motivation is internal. If I have to do something because it's important for me and not because I'm picturing how it's gonna look like on Strava or I'm picturing what other people will tell me about it. I'm aware that a YouTube channel does not scream internal motivation. Don't get me wrong, I do that too, as everyone, but when I do that, the result is not as good. I try to be honest with myself, and if something is important because I like the others to envy me, that's okay. And it's good for me to know that I'm doing it for that. And not because, for example, I need to push myself to another limit. I need to prove myself that I can do it. That's the motivation part. So, in finding what you want to do, then really ask yourself why and go deep in answering that question with yourself. And remember that there are no wrong answers. Doing something crazy for an Instagram post may be frowned upon, but it's a motivation. And sometimes it's good enough to make you do it. Don't get hurt though. So once that you know what you want to achieve and why you want to achieve it, you just need to figure out how. And for me, it's all about studying how can I achieve that, and then planning when to do the things that I need to do to achieve what I want to achieve. For example, I still want to do my 500 kilometers ride. So I need to train for extremely long distances. I need to learn how to feed myself properly, how to drink properly during such a long ride. And these are all things that I studied, I make a plan, and then I try to stick to it as much as I can. Which brings me to the next point. The plan is not gonna work out as you want it. Your body has limits and you want to push those limits, so you don't know if you're gonna make it or not. If your body needs to rest, it's good to rest. If you need a week to ease off the pain, do that. it's so counterproductive to not do it, because you're just gonna spiral down into a circle of shame with yourself because you cannot make it, and then other pain because your body is not recovering enough, or your mind is not in the right place. So be tolerant with yourself, be tolerant with your plan, and be ready to change it. If you don't adapt it, you're gonna fail. Similarly, if it's too easy, crank it up. This is not supposed to be an easy thing. It's supposed to be easy to find the strength to do it, but if you end a training session or anything really, and you think that, oh, I can do this all day, probably you need to do it more, or better, or harder, or stronger. Don't be afraid of change your plan, no matter how attached you are, no matter how perfect it was. It wasn't perfect. The perfect plan is the one that you accomplish, the one that does during your training session, during the period of time that you've set for yourself to achieve your goal. There is nothing special about your plan other than give you structure, to give you a metric if you're doing well enough. And then just go for it. It's amazing how much motivation you find within yourself if you just start doing the things instead of start thinking of why you're not start doing the things. For example, yesterday I told myself tomorrow I'm gonna ride 100 kilometers because it's been a few months and I don't do it. Then I woke up a little bit later. Then it was colder than I wanted. Then the dogs were acting a little bit crazy. So I was very close to not even try or to shorten it. But then now I'm outside, 30 kilometers in. It's an amazing day, and I'm definitely gonna finish 100 kilometers. Definitely. And remember every now and then to stop and appreciate what you're doing, because the whole point is to enjoy the process. Achieving your goals, not achieving your goals, it's important in that moment, but eventually you get better, you get better, you get better, and eventually you die, so it doesn't matter. But if you enjoy that process and you embrace the process of improvement, or just, you know, challenging yourself, you can find some meaning in all these, and that's beautiful, and that's what matters. So happy cycling, happy achieving your goals, happy 2024, and let's go. Also, being able to be comfortable alone for a long period of time is very important. It has been very helpful during the pandemic years, and it is a skill that makes me appreciate company more. It is something that I need to keep developing. So being on the bike for 4, 8, 12 hours, 16 is that training. It's a way of finding out how much I like myself, and it's important to know that. Not to like yourself necessarily, but to know it, how much you do.